In this exercise, I'm going to show you how to introduce a new path outline into an existing live paint object. I've saved my progress as evenstrokes.ai, and what I'd like you to do if you're working along with me is direct your attention to the Layers panel, twirl open that normal layer, and then turn on that heart object in order to make it active. Now I can take this heart object, this heart path, and I can add it to the live paint group just by dragging it and dropping it onto the group just as I can with any group inside of Illustrator, and then it becomes part of that live paint group. If I twirl the group open, I can see that heart is now at the top of the stack, and then we have orange, cyan, and magenta. Now I'm looking at this heart and noticing that its stroke is a weak black, and everybody else has these nice rich blacks going on. So I could sit here and laboriously with the live selection tool, which is active for me right now, I could click and shift click on every single one of these little intersections here, which is a pain in the neck. Or because it is an actual independent object, then I could grab my white arrow tool, go ahead and select it, and then alt click or option click on that heart in order to select the entire thing, and then go to the swatches panel and then click on black in order to make that stroke black. That is, of course, assuming that stroke is the active attribute, otherwise you'll change the fill. Now you might look at that and say, well, why didn't we do that in the previous exercise? Why did we have to select every single one of these little bits and pieces using that live selection tool? Why didn't we just use the white arrow tool? Well, that's because they were part of independent objects. So there was no way we were going to use the white arrow tool in order to accomplish that same thing. In fact, if I was to alt click or option click on this cyan circle in order to select it, it selects the entire circle. Now if I change it to a different stroke color like so, I will change the entire circle to a different color. Notice though, that Illustrator is smart enough to retain my original line weights. So I have a thick line weight around the outside and a thinner one around the inside, which is actually really great. Anyway, I'm going to press Control Z, Command Z on the Mac because I don't want that, not at all, in fact. And now I'll go ahead and click off the path in order to deselect it. I'm going to switch back from the live selection tool back to the live paint bucket. And of course I could do that by pressing the K key as well. And now I'm going to hover inside of these areas and change their colors. I want this little sort of cyan subpath. I want it to be magenta, and then I'm going to change this guy to orange, and I'm going to change this guy to cyan. I'm going pretty quickly here. You don't have to do exactly the same thing that I'm doing. You can change them to any colors you want. I just found that this worked out pretty nicely. I'll go and switch these guys to, let's say, green, and I'll switch this guy to blue, and then I'll switch this bit of intersection at the top of the heart. I'll change it to yellow, like so. And this is a true Venn diagram, by the way, because we have unique interactions between all these objects, and any two objects actually intersect each other at a point, as do any three objects and any four objects. So I'm actually subscribing to the real rules. You don't care about that, but anyway, I'm going to twirl close live paint group. I'm going to turn off my text layer, and I've got this other layer called new text that better fits inside of my new confines. So the idea is you can change your mind anytime you like. You can take objects out of a live paint group. You can add them to the live paint group. Something else you should notice. I'll go ahead and grab my white arrow tool once again, and I'll alt click or option click on the outline of that heart, and I'll drag it around to a different location, and notice that Illustrator goes ahead and updates everything on the fly. But if you lose one of the fills, it won't come back when you drag the heart to a different location. Notice I lost my white fill because it just went away, and then Illustrator forgot about it and made up a new color once that region came back. So you just have to be careful with your modifications. This time I lost orange. So if I move this guy to a different location like so, then orange is gone up at the top portion of the heart. At least I still have that little weird speck that's now moved itself into the InDesign circle. Anyway, if you want to get things back, you have to press Control Z or Command Z a few times in order to reinstate things, and you can perform all kinds of modifications. By the way, any transformation works as well. So I could get my scale tool and I could say, you know what? I want my heart to be bigger like that. Well, then make it bigger, and you'll keep those interactions as long as they survive. Just remember that when a fill or stroke disappears, it disappears from that point on. You're going to have to reinstate it because Illustrator has a poor memory where live paint is concerned. Anyway, I'm going to undo that modification. This is the end of our Venn diagram example. In the next exercise, we're going to move on to the Celtic knot.